Welcome, everybody. We are here again today to have some more insightful conversation for you. Today, I have Tanya Lechner with me. She is with Sunshine Realty with LPT, and I'm really excited because Tanya is an awesome expert in listings and as a listing agent. And so, tell us a little bit about yourself, Tanya. Who are you and what you do? And
yeah, thank you, Kirsten. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm even more excited to talk to you guys about listings because I'm super passionate about them. Yes. I've actually been an agent for 7 years, and the first 3 years was all buyers, and after that I realized listings was the way to go, so I decided to focus on listings. I started my team in 2021, and that's the Sunshine Real Estate team. And I've been through a few agents there, and now we have 3 agents, and it's a great team environment. Our team focuses on positivity, which is why we're the Sunshine Real Estate team. We spread the light through all of our clients. Like, that's basically our goal, and to also provide education to our clients.
That's awesome. And I would say in my experience with Tanya, that's been very true. You are such a positive person and you do spread light into the community. And so I appreciate that very much about you. So one of the questions that I had for you to get started was, since your business is primarily focused on being a listing agent, you mentioned that you did work as a buyer's agent for a little while in the beginning of your career. How did you arrive at kind of that niche, if you will, of being a listing agent primarily?
So it actually took me quite a bit of time. I thought I loved being a buyer's agent and like it was the best way to go, and come to find out all the listing agents were, making more money than me. They had better schedules than me. It just seemed like a better way to go, and it was super scary. It was actually one of the reasons I avoided listings, because I didn't want to have to go and sell myself and be in front of people. Mm-hmm. But just realizing the fact that I can save so much more time and plan my own schedule, the listings were like the writing was on the wall. Even they'll tell you like a listing agent lasts, right? Like that's something that all the training companies tell us. And so I knew like I really had to focus on the listings to last. And if I wanted to build a team, I had to have listings. And so I just really started honing in and changing my mindset to focus on listings.
Okay, nice. So just kind of fit your lifestyle and what you wanted to do and all of that so much better than the buyer side, right?
Cool. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you are a mom of 2 little guys. So how have you been able to find a good balance between being a mom of 2 young kids and, focusing on building a team, all these listings? You're a very busy lady. So how do you balance all of that?
First of all, it's super important to set boundaries, which is also tough in the beginning of your career because
Definitely.
You're wanting to like do everything for everybody, and that was a huge relief for me. As soon as I set boundaries, I found that our clients actually respect it more and they appreciate it because, for example, say you're just working until all hours of the night, they text you at 10, you text them back. That's not going to be good for you or necessarily them, because they're going to have an expectation that you're going to be responding to them at 10. So I always say, I'm going to be working usually from like 10 a.m. to like 3 whenever I pick them up from school, and then until like from dinner time, like 5 to 7 or 8 once they go to bed. Then I'll respond until like 8:30 at the latest, sometimes 9. Mm-hmm. But I always set that expectation with my client. I think that's super important.
Yes.
And then another thing that I do is leverage. Like, you have to find somebody to help you. And I find that I had a virtual assistant who helps me with the marketing. So that has saved me a ton of time.
I've seen conversation, personally I have not read this book, but I've heard conversation out of a book called Who Not How. And so it sounds like you're kind of employing that train of thought where, okay, I need to delegate some things in order to find that balance in my time. So that's great. Personally, I see a lot of questions on like Facebook groups, real estate platforms and all of that for people who are having a hard time balancing their time. And I always recommend time blocking your family. It's just as important as time blocking your work. So it sounds like you basically do that. But I literally physically in my calendar have family time blocked for that specific reason, because if not, you know, you can kind of be like, okay, well, I can give it another, you know, I can give this another hour, I can do that. And it's it sounds kind of terrible, but it's kind of easy to let that start to run your life a little bit. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so true about the time blocking. And at first I was like, oh man, I'm only really working like between 10 and 2 because I go to school for such a short time. But I came to realize I can get a lot more work done. There's the Pomodoro method, and you can get a lot more work done in a short period of time if you're super focused versus working 8 hours a day and like, maybe I'm going to go to the laundry here and there, you know, like
For sure.
just do different things that don't necessarily provide any value for your business. And so
Right.
doing like focusing between those hours and time blocking and all of the things with the family like
Yeah.
is super important.
Yes. Well, and flexibility, I think, too, just a little bit, right? Like, it's good to be kind of rigid with your time and your time blocking, but also having a level of flexibility, especially when your kids are so small, is super important. Like, there's a good balance there. Okay, cool. Well, I would say where should a new agent focus their energy when it comes to building their business and acquiring listings? What things should they really be working on to build that business?
Definitely, I would say networking is a huge one
Yeah.
because it's really tough to build a business if you don't know anybody. And I've seen people that have come into San Antonio and not from here, and they've done an amazing job building their business from the ground up just by going to networking events. I actually tell this to my agents, you know, start building a list of your top 20 people and continue to reach out to them. That's going to be your base, right? And then go to networking events that you're interested in. So, for example, I actually started a networking event when I started as an agent for investors. And
Nice.
so we met on Wednesdays. We actually had a meeting this morning. Still, I'm not like leading it anymore. I passed it off, but it helped me grow my investor database so big that I just kept getting referrals, and it was like a snowball. And that's how I like built my listing business was investors just referring me to investors to investors. And
That's
so
awesome.
that was a huge way. And then number 2, and this might even be more important than networking, is mindset. Because
Very much.
like if I had gone into this continuing to feel like, oh, I'm not good enough to be a listing agent, or I can only work with buyers because now I have like 3 years of experience with buyers. Why would I want to switch to sellers? And just really honing in and focusing on listings. Like I literally, the whole year of like 2020, that's what I did. I was like, all right, listings.
You're like, I am a listing agent.
Yes.
I am a listing agent.
Exactly.
Yes.
That was it. And then
Yeah.
at the end of the year, I ended up having 80% listings and 20% like buyers.
That's
So-
awesome. I'm very much a proponent of fake it till you make it. And I think that ties into a lot of the mindset that we hear. A lot of people say a lot of the same things. And if you really listen, you'll hear a lot of those same messages. But you kind of have to just act like you're already doing that thing or that person, right? I am a listing agent, so that's how I'm going to start acting, right?
Yep,
It's such a big part.
100%.
It's all mindset. You just have to be it, and then you'll be it.
So true.
It sounds so
Yeah.
silly, but it's so simple. Like,
It is.
but it's very scary sometimes for people. But that's great advice. We actually did a whole video on mindset. Because it is such an important part of this business. If you are a new agent to this industry, really spend time focusing on your mindset, because that really is one of the hardest things almost to get right when you're starting out in a job like this as an entrepreneur, basically. Yeah.
100%. And that, I mean, mindset across the board, like you're saying, as a new agent, just to even get your feet wet, working with your first client, like everything. And even my team member, she joined us in August, and she had one listing, and you know we really focused on like mindset and networking and doing things. And at December, she had, I want to say, 4 or 5 listings now.
That's awesome. I love that so
Yeah.
much. That's so great. See, mindset works. It works.
Totally.
That's awesome. How would you say being a listing agent differs from being a buyer's agent, or even splitting between the two? How is it different to just focus on listings?
So I think it's way better because you're really honing in on your skill set, and you're not like running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And that is, I think, what makes you a better listing agent, because when you go into those houses and you have those listing appointments, you're refining your skill every time you have a listing appointment.
Yeah.
And you may not necessarily get the listing every time, but every time you go in there and focus solely on the listings, it makes your career that much better. And then even like, because I know a lot of people do want to be both. I'm a buyer's agent. I'm a listing agent. I'm also working with investors. But don't do that, because the name of the game is to niche down. And if you're not niching down, then people are they're not going to have as much respect for you. And they're going to be like, oh, well, she does, she only works with buyers and sellers and investors. So I don't know. It's like overwhelming. So I think focusing on one niche is going to make people like really want to work with you for that specific reason.
Yeah. I think there can be a fear too of like, well, if I'm not doing both, I'm missing out on business, right? And I know that when I came into this industry, as a loan officer, it was a similar fear, right? And I've learned the power in being able to say, you know what, that particular thing is not my specialty. I have someone I can refer you to that's all they do, and they're an expert in their field. And I come from healthcare, and so for me, it's similar to, you have like a general practitioner, but then they always refer out to a specialist, right? Because the specialist works on that one thing, and that's all they do. And so I feel like listing agent is really, you're a specialist in that, right? You focus all of your time and energy on mastering that craft. So it makes a lot of sense to say, like you said, to niche down and really be strong in one field, instead of like a jack of all trades, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely see the power in that. And I have heard multiple people in this industry say that. And I know there are some people who successfully work both sides, and that's great. But I have also heard from multiple people that, just the power of really focusing in and becoming a specialist in your field can actually bring you more business in the long run. So
it does. And just like you said, you can always refer the business out, which is what I do with a lot, because I still get a ton of buyer leads from my signs and everything else, and so that business goes to my agents, and so
it helps you create a strong network too, because it really does take a village, right?
Definitely, yeah. A real village, yeah.
All things take a village, yes. Oh my gosh, I'm 100. I know that 100%. Okay, well, the last question I have for you is, can you share any, or are you willing to share any mistakes that you made as a newer agent that you might, caution new agents in avoiding, and say, okay, this is something that I did. If you want to be successful, maybe don't do this, or maybe try a different approach to this.
Yeah, one huge thing when I first started was I didn't necessarily have a mentor, and that was something that I think is huge, because I didn't even pay for a coaching program or anything. I thought I had it all figured out until like 2021 or so. And that is really what excelled my business. When I invested in a coaching program, I just took off, because it really helped me focus on the listings and hone in on my listing presentation. I didn't have like any of that. And I just basically worked for my mom and pop broker, and they didn't teach me everything that I needed to know. So I think having that extra set of hands is imperative to like your growth. And so the quicker you are able to get that mentor, like the quicker you're able to excel in your business.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I definitely was at a few different brokerages before I came to Thrive in search of that exact thing, good coaching, good mentorship, and it has made all the difference. I would agree 100%. If you're newer to this industry, really find solid mentors, pay for coaching, or try to find somebody, a place, a brokerage, whatever it is that offers coaching, something to get that support, because there is so much to know. You just really need someone to kind of help guide you through it in those first, maybe couple years or however long it takes. But don't be afraid of that. Don't think that means, it's a weakness or whatever. It's a strength to seek coaching and to seek mentorship and to want to be better and to want to learn. It's 100% just a sign that you want to be the best at what you want to do. So thank you so much for being here. I know that you are trying to grow your team. So if anybody who's out there watching is looking for a great place with a great mentor and wants to focus on, listings and growing their business, reach out to Tanya. I know she'd be happy to chat with you guys. We'll pop her information up here on the screen via editing magic. And thank you again so much for being here. I really appreciate your conversation. I appreciate your positivity and the light you definitely put into the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kirsten, and thank you, everyone. That was so great chatting with you. I had a great time.
Awesome. Stay tuned, guys. We'll have more coming up.